speaking of family, I was just like looking at a lot of your life today, and I'm going to be hopping around a little bit. Um, or you did, we're going to create a screenplay on your mom's life.
Oh, yes, and I did.
So my
I wrote
question,
this.
yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. I wrote this screenplay the day after I started writing it. The day after my father died.
Oh, so sorry.
Yeah.
It's yeah,
And I did that because my husband kept saying, you have to do this. And another friend kept saying, you have to write this story. And so it took me 3.5 years between gigs to complete this film. And
right.
so, yeah.
Yeah. Well, what is it about? And I was thinking about this. What is it about your mom's life outside of the impact she had on you? What is it about her life that you felt should have been a screenplay, that you were admired by, that you really loved, June? Or is it? It's probably more than one thing, but whatever you wanted to add on to that, June.
Well, you know what it is? It's a story of like survival. It's an incredible story. It has to be told. It's a
Right.
story about surviving things like at all odds. I mean, I can't go into it. I'd be here for like 5 hours telling you,
Right.
but do you know what I mean?
hence,
But
hence the screenplay. Yeah.
yeah, and also like from where my parents came from, my dad, they were brought up in like the Depression
Yeah.
era,
Yep.
and for them to create what they created, and uh it's phenomenal. To go from nothing to what they have is incredible. That's mostly what I'm so in awe of. But yeah,
Your mom's
yeah,
generation, this is not a shot at anybody. Your mom's generation was a very different generation that we currently have, for a lot of reasons. And like you say, we could probably spend 5 hours going into why, but I will say different in the best way and better in every way imaginable. I'll leave it there. But
hmm
it's a different generation. It was a different time, but it's just the ethics, the attitude they had, the drive. It's a much simpler, not much simpler, much different time. So yeah, I hear what you're saying.
I agree with you. I don't know if it's simpler. I just think it was different. And yes, the work ethic.
Yeah, simple was not the right word.
Absolutely.
Yeah, simple. It may have been the opposite. May have been the opposite. It was a lot harder because you had to earn everything you've got. Like things weren't like given to you. Things weren't like handed. You had to go out and get what you needed by working hard and by producing for a family, children, whatever. So, yeah, I mean, it's just the greatest movies come out of those genres and those genre movies out of that generation, I think.
Yeah. And I mean, there's this, there's this thing that people say, when I was young, I went to school and I didn't have any boots. Well, actually, they didn't.
Mm, mm.
It's kind of incredible that like they really didn't have enough money for boots.
Yeah, yeah.
So, my grandma had these varicose veins that hurt but that's because she didn't have boots, and they lived in the
Right.
prairie. So, yeah.
Wow. Different times for sure. Growing up, what are the profound impacts, June, as far as actors or movies on your life? Right. So I refuse to ask my guests why they got into acting, but I will ask them, somebody that has influenced them. Like, for me, if I was an actor, it would be The Shawshank Redemption, right? That movie changed my life, I feel like. So for you, June, who was the influence where you said, you know what, I got to do that. I got to do that.
I mean, if we really want to go back to when it all began, it was Carol Burnett. I
Right.
mean, we used to gather around the TV and watch the Carol Burnett show, and I
Yeah.
would think, I want to have a show like that one day. I want to be in a show, and then and the great thing about Carol Burnett is that she's not one. She was not one dimensional. I mean, she really does do some really dramatic things too. But yeah, she was totally my, she's who inspired me for
Yeah,
sure.
super talented, like super talented.
hmm
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I always say this, and people get sick of it, but every guest I have from Canada, they are the nicest people. Like Canadian kindness. I always say this, and I know I say it every guest I have is Canadian, but I'm going to say it until I'm blue in the face. Like it is a real thing. Guests from Canada, and I'm even going to add Australia and New Zealand, the nicest people like I've ever spoken with. Like it's like ingrained in them, like just to be kind. It's like so refreshing to see.
That's beautiful. Thank you so
Yeah,
much. I'm so grateful to hear that. That's lovely. I mean, yeah, why not be kind? Oof. I mean,
yeah,
listen, at the end of the day, my goodness. Oh, yeah. I saw some things today that I could go on, but I won't. I'll stop.
yeah,
About people not being kind, but yeah.
yeah, yeah.
We're
And it
not
happens.
perfect over here, Derek. Let's
Yeah,
just say that.
I agree. Hey, listen. You might not be perfect, but you're ahead of some of us here in the States and around the world.
Oh,
So I'll say that.
okay.
Just like I said, I'm bouncing all over the place. I know you were in the Butterfly Effect, and I was rewatching it over the weekend, knowing we were going to speak today. I got to say, if somebody said to me, "Give me 5 movies that maybe people missed the first time around, or are maybe the most underrated over the last 20, 25 years," I'm putting the Butterfly Effect 1 or 2, because the idea of wanting to change the way your life turns out and never getting it right is so fascinating. It is maybe one of the best movies that I feel like people should talk about more, that's maybe left out of the conversation, but people that have seen it are in love with it, right? I just
Mm.
that premise of like, I got to get this right. I got to get this right. I don't know. June, whatever you wanted to say about the Butterfly Effect, I love it. I love it.
Oh, that's so, it's the Butterfly Effect is an interesting movie. When I first auditioned for the Butterfly Effect, it was there nobody really knew what it was going to be. Like it was kind of like this little indie film kind of feel. Like we had a start party on a boat, and it was like a little family that got together and made this movie. And then it took off,
Yeah.
like probably for the exact same reasons that you're talking about, and uh but yeah, it was fascinating. And oh yeah, a really great story, and it's a little one, but all of Ashton Kutcher's fans, were all standing on the road, across the road, waiting for, like, looking for, Ashton, right?
Wow.
And he was so in the zone. And at some point, and I was like, yeah, I get that. So, we'd travel to set, and I'd be like, you're in the zone. Don't ever want to mess with that
Yeah.
when we're working, so, but at some point when he did have a break, I said, look at all of your fans. And he stopped and he looked and he went, oh, he said, those are the people that made me who I am. And he went across the road and started signing autographs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not necessarily in Ashton's case, but can an actor bring that too far? Like going into a role, getting into that mental state. Can that ever go too far? I mean, like we always hear stories of Daniel Day-Lewis when he played Lincoln was going into like convenience stores with a top hat on. Like, can you ever go too far, June? Can you bring it to a level that's maybe, I don't want to say unhealthy, but maybe unhealthy's next door neighbor?
I think actors can do that for
Yeah.
sure. I think that's really an important question. I think it's really important to remember I'm an actor. I mean, I'm a little method. I'm not going to lie. But,
Right.
I played a really gritty street person once, and I actually cut my fingernails, rubbed my fingers in dirt. So it got in the crevices. And I mean, I'll do things like that. But like at the end of the day, I think, yeah, that's tricky. We got to remember who's in charge, and we're in charge. Like, at the end of the day, it's acting.
Yeah, and I got to believe some of these roles. I mean, because Ashton's role in this movie in particular was a very heavy one. I mean, a very serious role. I mean, I got to wonder if it has a taxing effect in the long run, right? Because you're kind of, I mean, I don't know. I think I think it's really impressive. Don't get me wrong. I think it's phenomenal, but I also think like, there has to be a time where you cut it and just step back and walk away.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely. When I was preparing for Blood, I was in a beautiful condominium anyway, and I work on my scenes, and then when it was done, I didn't want to overwork them, but I would work on them and then just step away and just go, like, kind of do a little brush off and go, okay, we're moving on. Like, yeah, it takes a minute. If you're really in it, it takes a minute to come down and stop doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's been about a month since, or maybe I saw a little bit over a month ago. It came out on demand. I want to say at the end of January. I saw it. Blood's a really good movie. We're going to talk about that. Talk about Michelle, fantastic actor.
Oh, fantastic actress, fantastic person. Have absolutely nothing but great things to say. I really, really mean that.
Yeah.
She was the one with the longest hours and the most days, and it didn't matter. She was so available, and I got to tell you, as an actress, when you have somebody, and we were, as you know, we were very intimate. When you have somebody that's there that is on your side, oh,
Yeah.
because I've had the opposite too.
Yeah. That's I'll never understand an actor that's not about making the whole project better versus just making themselves. I don't understand that for the life of me, because I've heard stories from guests in the past, like horror stories, whether it be a director that was kind of like I'm the new sheriff in town, or an actor that was more worried about their performance than making the project better. For the life of me, I'll never understand that. It's like a team sport where somebody's more focused on their stats than the success of a team. It just doesn't make any sense to me, June.
Well, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. And I think that a lot more people should do team sports. I think kids should be in team sports. And I'm saying sports because there's really kind of this, like, that there's a parallel there, but learn how to work together and learn how to, it's not about me and my ego. It's about the team, because at the end of the day, we're not doing this on our own. It's a team. Everybody's working together. Like, one day I was on set, I forget what I was doing, what show I was on, but somebody was like, their job was to order this little tiny piece of some hardware, and if that hardware wasn't there, the whole thing wouldn't work. And I thought, well, that's just incredible. Like, it's a big circle, and I, the actor, am just one little tiny piece of that.
Right.
We all have our jobs. Nobody's more important. And I think people really need to understand that. Like, I think actors need to understand that. It's not about them. It's about getting a job done.
Yeah, and I should have mentioned it's Michelle Monaghan for those listening or watching, wondering who we're talking about. And she's a next level actor. So it's. Did you? Sorry if you dropped. So she's a next level. If you know how much stuff I drop over here, she's a next level actor. I feel like, June. That is just, she's really, really. I mean, and to hear how kind she was makes it that much more enjoyable to know.
Yeah, I mean, she is, and she's an incredible actress. Yeah, you're right. I mean, she's an incredible actress, and she's an incredible person. Put those two things together, and it's gold. It's just gold. Yeah.
And your character in Blood, pretty complicated too, June, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so I'm not saying you have to go. I mean, you mentioned your method, but like, so how do you get ready for a role like that? How do you prepare? How do you kind of put yourself in a position? Because, like I said, complicated character.
Yeah. Understanding the script, understanding the role, understanding my objective, making sure that I have the right emotional life, knowing how to get that emotional life, knowing how to, knowing the arc. I mean, especially with Blood, I don't know if I should say this, but I'm going to say it because I don't think they'll mind. But we shot that from the end to the beginning.
I've never heard of that before. Oh my gosh, that's like, because from beginning sequentially is almost unheard of. I've never heard of from the end to the beginning. Wow.
Yeah. And the only reason that we did that is because we were in Winnipeg and it was September. And when we finished, it was November or
Ah,
the end of
okay.
October.
Right, right,
So
right.
the first, all the parts that are outside and in the forest and all that stuff, they couldn't do it at the end of October. Well, they could have, but it was very cold.
Right, right.
It's extraordinarily cold, and we were doing night shoots, so there's no way. I mean, I know that what I was wearing, if it was that temperature, I'd be like, I'm not sure that I'm very strong. I am very strong. I am an athlete, so I know how to do that stuff. But I was like, oh, so yeah, so because we did the end till the beginning.
Right.
Boy, I'll tell you, I really had to know where my character was emotionally and physically the whole way. And of course, Brad Anderson was completely on top of that.
Right.
That man is amazing. The director is
Yep.
ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very talented. It's a very good movie for those watching, or if they're looking for something to watch. It's certainly worth your interest. You mentioned being an athlete, and I did read that you were a runner. Do you run daily, June? Do you run weekly? How does that work in your routine?
I run daily. I take one day off a week because I think that's important.
Yeah.
I've competed. BC championships or something. When I was in high school, I qualified for some pretty big events.
Right.
And I have won, I'm coming first in 10Ks.
Wow. Yeah.
In New York, I came in first in a 10K. But I don't do marathons. That's the one thing that I promised myself I would never do because I love running. So I never wanted to hurt myself. So I refused. My sister did a marathon and I watched her and I was like, no, we don't want to go there.
I mean,
hard on the body.
yeah, to say the least. I mean, you hear those nightmare stories of what people are doing on the side of roads, and it's like, no, thank you. I mean, listen, I get running really clears mentally your state of mind, and I think that's great. But marathons are next level. Never mind triathlons, which are just almost insanity personified. I mean, I respect those that can do it, but biking 100 miles, running. I mean, come on, swimming 3 or 4, whatever it is. That's next level. That's next level, June.
Yeah, it is. It truly, truly, truly is. I agree with you 100%. Yes.
Yeah. And I also read, I mean, you're like me. I mean, are you still a spinach fanatic?
Oh my God. Somebody else asked me that too. That's a funny question. Yes, I am. I just love eating well. The difference between eating well and not eating well is like night and day. I might as well, if I want to have a good day, I eat well. And I don't eat, I eat poorly. So I don't know what it feels like anymore, but I've kind of always been like that. Back in the day, I was like a hippie and going to the health food store. And, I'm very fortunate because my mom would make all of the meals and, there were 5 children, so she had to cook. And she made everything from scratch. And I am forever grateful to her for doing that because I have a really good baseline. Yeah. I think I got off that for a minute. And then I was like, yeah, I just got to get back on that. It just makes such a difference.
Yeah. And your profession too, June. I mean, granted, eating healthy and being fit are essential. I get that. But, I just feel like for your profession, and I hope I'm correct and okay in saying this. I mean, I feel like you have to maintain. I mean, not everybody has the same body shape. I get that. But I also know that many actors have to keep fit. I mean, you're on camera, people are judging you. I mean, whether it's fair or not, it is. But does that play in your mind too, June, as you're preparing for whatever roles you're going up for in receiving?
Yeah, I mean, I'm fortunate. I think I hear of some people that have to put like this movie, The Whale. I mean,
yes, great movie.
He had to gain all that weight. I don't know. That is a challenge. I've never really had to gain weight or lose weight. So thank God for that. But yeah, I'm really cognizant of, the fact that I have to, the way that I look, and, we have to do a few extra things to, because the camera is on us. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and so, yeah, I just do that.
And Hugh Jackman getting ready for the Wolverine role, he's eating 8,000 calories a day. He's in the gym all the time. So it's like, I mean, and then he's going to
Right.
take that off, which is going to be, so that's the, Christian Bale's been down that road. Matt Damon's been down. It almost killed Matt
Mhm.
Damon in Courage Under Fire. So, like, that's a dangerous game to play. I mean, yeah,
Wow.
I get it, but it's like, it's,
Wow. I did not know that that almost killed him. Wow. Okay.
yeah,
Oof.
yeah,
Not
yeah.
good. Not good.
Looking at your, just your bio here, you are of Polish descent.
Yeah.
Oh,
Polish and Ukrainian.
very nice. I am half Polish as well, June. So I feel like we
You
are
are.
blood, and I can speak it fluently. So,
Ah!
my babcha was taught me when I was younger. I knew more before. I was better. Now I'm now I'm like a second or third grader. I could communicate, but it's like somebody could tell that he's fluent, but he's a little choppy. So,
Right, right,
uh,
right.
but it's
Well,
like there's
I mean, good for you. I don't speak it at all, but
yeah.
I mean, we do have our, our great love for the pierogies and the cabbage. Yes.
See, that's the thing. Like pierogies for me are like beer on the weekends, right? I can't just have like one. It's like, damn, that
No.
those cabbage filled pierogies are so delicious. And I was
Oh,
like, they are delicious,
yeah,
Jude. Jude,
yeah.
even you're looking at your bio, it's like so impressive. You've been in so many different projects. You've been in, shows on CW that are, WB and all these wonderful shows. Can you look at your career and say, I am most proud of, or is it like, you know what, I am most proud of all of it? Like I almost feel like they're like your children. You can say you can't pick. That's my favorite, or that's the one I remember. Like you have to say,
Mm.
I'm proud of the body of work that I have created. How do you look back and perceive your career, June?
I have to sort of reiterate what you just said. I'm proud of it all. And
Yeah,
this business is it's not a walk in the park. And you
no,
got to work hard at it, and you got to stay in, and you got to so every time I have an opportunity to act, I am so happy. And it's not even, I'm not, is there's gratitude, but like happy, like joy,
right.
so everything that I do, I put 100% in, and hope for the best. So I can't say, I mean, look, working with Michelle Monaghan in Blood, working with Colin Firth, things like that, like, are
Yeah,
pretty spectacular, because these people are so, they're such, well, they're superstars in my books. Like, I don't care who's a superstar, but they are, because of the people that they are being. So yeah, I mean, I can't look at one thing. I unfortunately can't. I think that, it's all just been and will continue to be super fun. I'm
yeah.
very lucky. Yeah.
You and you're very talented too. So don't. I'm not going to buy the luck completely. I'll buy a little bit of it. But Colin Firth was amazing in King's Speech. It's like one of the all time
Oh,
classic movies. It get that. See, when you say superstar, I completely agree. I completely
mhm.
agree, because to
Yep.
get people to feel like that, you have to be a special talent. And not every,
Mhm.
a lot of people call themselves actors. A lot of people call themselves podcasts. So some may be legitimate, some may not. But I know this: Colin Firth is very legitimate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely. 100%.
yeah.
100%. Yes.
What June? What's around the corner for you? Are you still auditioning, or how are you? What's around the corner for you? Anything coming up?
Well, I mean, there's, I'm up for 3 jobs right now.
Nice, nice.
And I'm always auditioning, so that's wonderful. Um, and again, it's that film, it's my film. Like, getting that made is
Yeah,
a pretty high priority item. Attending some, festivals of movies that I've been in. Um, and yeah, that's where I'm at right now. Yeah.
very very busy. Is the my last question to you is it ever frustrating, June, the what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to call it the instability, but that's what it is when acting jobs. Like you have three up in the air, you could have four, you got one, you may have two. Like, does that ever wear away on you? Like, I don't know. To me, like I just put myself like, how would I act if I were June? I would. I'm the wrong person to be an actor. First of all, I'm not talented. Second of all, I could not do it. But like the not knowing whether you have a gig, whether you, I don't know, that would drive me nuts. Like I was like, ugh, I don't know. Do I have that? Are you like, would you be like that? Are you like that?
That's a skill set.
Yeah.
We have to, it's something to develop, I mean, first of all, my focus is always to be the best actress I can be. If I know that if I put something good out there, I have no idea where it lands, because they're casting more than just like talent or whatever. They're casting a look, a feel for the show. The shows all have different, feels, right? Like I saw just recently that somebody got a role that I auditioned for, and I went, well, yeah, it's a completely, well, first of all, 10 years younger and just a completely different quality. So if I know that I'm on top of my game, I'm good.
Right.
Sometimes I'll pop into my acting class and just go, hey, yo, I'm not sure. Like, can we look? And there's nothing wrong. And then I go, okay, fine. I also have different ways of surviving and staying in. And that is my brilliant husband, who is a golf pro, but he's also like this incredible business person, told me, he goes, you have to do your numbers. And I said, well, what does that even mean? What are numbers? And he goes, well, you need to know how many auditions you book per how many auditions you go out for. And I was like, oh, okay. So I do that. And, I realize I book 1 in 7, and I'm like, well, then I'm good. I'm good.
Right. That's a good percentage. That's a good percentage. Yeah. You hear the nightmare stories.
We just have to have ways to monitor and have a good life. Just have a great life. The rest of it will fall into place. If I'm having a good life, everything will fall into place. If I'm having a really crappy life and I'm living in a really awful place and blah, 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 nothing's going to feel good. So yeah, I mean, it's hard, Derek. I'm not going to lie. It's hard to wait. And then you get the call and you're on a show for 6 months, or, you know what you're doing. And like, oh, it just sort of all that goes away.
Yeah. That's well said. And I'll end on this. I have to say, because watching you and Michelle go back and forth, I mean, if people want to catch a glimpse of it, they can go to your website. You have your demo reel. People can watch it there, but watch the full movie, and you are keeping up with Michelle. Like, there's no gap there in ability, because my wife and I were watching a show on Netflix. I won't say it, but there was a huge gap between the top of the call sheet to like the middle of the call sheet. The ability, and I'm not trying to be mean here, but the ability of the actors from here was like, it was too big. Like, I almost feel like it should have been recast in the middle portion, because it was not believable. And there was, it's like me trying to play football against Tom Brady. It was that big.
Right.
It was a big gap. It was big. But to see you on screen with the show, there was no gap. And I think that's important. I think people need to understand that, because if it's noticeable to me, like, I mean, I'm a movie fan, like many others. Like, I can't really, I'm not somebody that's in the industry, but if it was obvious to me, then I don't know. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm being complimentary of you, but I'm also giving you an example of, when you get roles, you've earned them and you do well in them. I don't know where I'm going with that, but that's, it is obvious on many occasions, June, that people are miscast or not maybe right for the roles.
A miscast, but maybe just not on top of their game. And again,
big, yes.
You got to rise up, man. If you've got a big star in front of you, you better be playing at their level. And mostly to serve them, to make them look good, and to serve the story, and to make the story look good, and the movie is, successful, and all those other things. So really, at the end of the day, you got to play at somebody's level. And if
Yeah.
you're not, if I as an actor am not doing that, then I need to go do something about that.
Yeah, and they had the look like these, like so you had these adults that were all great. You had two kid lead actors that were phenomenal, and then after that, the other ones were kind of like, wow. It's like they had the look, but as soon as they started to act, it was like, ooh, ooh. It was like, eesh. But I don't know. I guess that makes me say. I guess I'm giving you a compliment at somebody else's expense because watching you on screen, you certainly handle your own, June.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, Derek.
June, I'm cheering for you. I can't tell people enough. Watch Blood. It's a fun watch. It's a really interesting movie. I loved it. But yeah, I am so blessed that I have actors like you coming on the show, June. And I wish you nothing but health and happiness moving forward.
Thank you, and you as well, and good luck with your new baby.
I
Oh, I'm so
know. Thank
excited.
you.
Yes,
Yeah. Thank
yes.
you.